Hey everybody, it's Chris, and tonight I'm bringing you the delayed review of Latitude64 Bryce, which is their first overmold fairway and completes that lineup of Sarek putter, Gobi midrange, Bryce fairway. It is delayed because I did have trouble testing and throwing this disc. It was understable enough that I was having trouble getting good shots on film, but when I finally just gave up and started throwing, not gave up, sorry, adjusted and started throwing it a little bit powered down, a little more hyzer, I got some pretty nice lines in the woods. And what I really liked doing with it was throwing rollers. So you're going to see me throw quite a few rollers with it. I'm going to put it up against my roller Escape, which is trashed and super understable, my favorite roller. But you'll get to see those two fly against each other. You'll also see Dan Mao and Jason Wilder again in this video, and they're going to put it up against a Hatchet. So I put this disc in that category. Broken in Hatchet, super broken in Escape. I loved it for rollers, and you're going to see that on camera. However, for slower arm speeds, I've given this to several people that throw like 300 to 325 or even shorter. This disc was crushing for them. They would release it and it would turn over maybe just a little bit, and then it would just glide, and then it would glide some more, and it would glide some more, and you could see it, the look on their faces of, whoa, that was really cool. And then they'd ask if they could throw it again. So the day that I was throwing rollers, where you're going to see the pin up on the rocks, I had 3 or 4 guys test it, and 3 of them, when they finished throwing it, looked at me and said, might have to look into that, or something along those lines. So I could see this disc being absolutely fantastic for newer players, lower arm speeds, yeah, could work great for that. Or if you are a higher arm speed, it might be a fantastic roller for you as well. That's enough for me. Let's go to video so you can see it throwing. You know I'm going to talk there as well. But as always, if you have questions or comments, please put them in here so I can get back to you. And I don't know which disc is coming up next. I'm not sure what's coming out. Maybe the Westside Hatchet. I haven't seen it yet, but that could be fun. But yeah, put those questions down there. I'll get back to you. Enjoy the video. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye. So here's my first throw in the field. You're going to see a flat release, actually a little bit of hyzer release, but a hard turnover, and it's in a cut roll about 300 feet out. On this first comparison video, both discs are going to be thrown up on a high turnover line. You're going to see them disappear out of view because of the split screen, apologies for that, and they are going to pan back in through the middle top of the screen. Bryce is going to end up by the fence on the bottom. But here's the good video. Watch the Bryce on the bottom screen. It's going to reappear out of the middle in just a second. It's going to touch down. You're going to see me in the top screen just look bored because the Escape's already finished rolling into the outfield. But at the very end of this picture, as I get out of the way on the bottom, it's going to slam into the fence out there 440 feet away. Here's me throwing just a downhill control shot with a little bit of hyzer, that big turnover, drifting right, and getting some big distance. So here's me at Kaposia Park, putting the Bryce through its paces. This is a hard turnover shot that you're going to see hit the side of the hill and then cut roll out. This next video is the one I think is really special. I got 2 really strong rollers, one from my normal Escape and one from this Bryce, that are both going to cruise way out there into the center field, past the bright spots into the shadows again. You get to watch the dogs chase them down. Both of these rollers were well over 400 feet, and you can just see how nicely the Bryce rolls. Here's both discs powered down, so you can see more of a neutral flight. I didn't give the Bryce quite enough power to give a really good comparison, but you'll get to see at that low power what it does. And then the last comparison here from hole 3 is a roller where I'm going to try to go around the rocks to get to the pin, fail, and instead just smash into the rocks, and you get to see the discs jump, which is kind of fun. So to wrap up my throwing portion of this video, here's a couple of low power shots just to keep the Bryce in the middle of the fairway. While I could do this with it, what I thought it really excelled at was the roller like you saw before. But let's move on to Jason, see what he thinks. So here is Jason Wilder in the field. His first throw, he gave it some height, didn't put much power on it, so you just see it hold the hyzer. His second throw is going to be a little bit different, a flatter throw, a little more snap. You're going to see it drift to the right, and it's actually going to hit the fence out there about 330 feet away. Once Jason got warmed up, he was hitting the fence pretty regularly with this disc. And here's his roller. He decided he wanted to try to throw it, and we honestly thought he was going to hit the gap out of the fences. It was beautiful. Alright, so here is Jason. Bryce versus Hatchet. Bryce on the bottom. You're going to see fairly similar releases here. Bryce might come out just a little bit more to the left, actually, but you're going to see it track really hard right. Both discs are going to hit the fence out there to the right of Dan in his red shirt. Both beautiful turnover shots. On the second shot, the hatchet's going to get a little more height, so it's going to drift farther right, but you're going to see a much harder right turn out of the Bryce overall. So it's interesting to see these two flights, similar results, but the Bryce seemed to be a little bit less, or a little bit more understable.
The Bryce. I've been on the hunt recently for an understable fairway or a slight, gentle turnover disc. And this one for me, I could see potentially being that disc, and if not for that slot, because I've been throwing the Latitude64 River, I could see this being a great roller disc. I threw this one time, and I'm not a heavy roller thrower anyway. I threw it one time and got a great line out of it. So look out for this one, could be a great roller, the Bryce.
So here's Dan throwing the Bryce into a headwind. He's going to try to cover it with some hyzer, but you'll see it drift over and hit the ground pretty quick. His second throw, he gives it more height. It's going to drift beautifully, hit the fence, so about 330 feet into the headwind. It was a really nice throw from Dan on that one. Alright, so here's Dan with his comparison throw, both of these understable discs into a headwind. If you watch the hatchet up top, it's going to get a little more air, turn, and then stall and come down pretty flat, whereas the Bryce on the bottom is just going to be a turning machine. Again, he's going to get out to that fence, hit it pretty flat. Very understable, throwable disc for him.
Fortress today. The Bryce, pretty understable. It's a good disc. It's a very good disc. I was having a hard time controlling it, mainly because I don't have the finesse for throwing rollers and stuff like that just yet. So it probably will not make my bag for that reason. I throw the Escape for a roller, which is all I need right now. But I can see this being a really good disc for newer players and be with a lot more touch and control.
As we recap, watch Dutch and Daisy chase down this roller. Again, the Bryce is Latitude64's first overmold fairway. It's pretty understable, so slower arms are going to like it for straight to understable stuff. Big arms are going to like it for rollers. If this review was helpful or informative, please feel free to like it, share it, or even subscribe. Thanks again for watching.